Hello, orchestra members. Welcome back to this brave new world of orchestral music making at PLU. It's going to be a very different semester for us, but in a way, it gives us an opportunity to learn some literature, wonderful literature that we might never have addressed otherwise. Gives us a chance to explore orchestral music making in some deeper ways than we have in the past, and some new ways. So I hope you enjoy this semester very much, whether you're participating virtually or in the blended rehearsal format that we hope to begin with very early in the semester. I'm going to narrate through the syllabus. The syllabus is taking a different form than in the past. We're not going to have the usual handbook, multi-paged handbook, to hand out this year. Instead, it's going to be in this slide and video format. It'll be available to you online in the Sakai course and the course information page all the time, so please frequently look that up. I will put this video in that course information page as well, so that you'll have not only the slides to look at, but the narration as well. So with that, let's go on and let me just go quickly over some of the details, and then we'll have a chance to watch this video on our first orientation night on the 10th of September, and then you'll have a chance to ask me questions at that time too. First, I want to begin with our land acknowledgement. It's become a tradition and a very important one at PLU. So we'll begin, as it has become our custom, with this important acknowledgement about the place on which our campus sits. Let it serve as a reminder that we are only passing through, that we stand on the shoulders of all those who have gone before, that we owe a great debt to preceding generations, both for the things that have been given freely to us and for that which has been taken, and that it must be our goal from this point on to act justly and to walk humbly. Getting on with some basic information. Most of you know me already. For those of you who are new this year, welcome. We're glad to have you in our community. This is my information. My preferred and probably the easiest way of communicating with me is through that email address. That's why I listed it first. I am not going to be actually physically in my office very much this year. You are welcome to leave voicemail there. I will try and remember to check it every couple days at least, but that's probably not the quickest way to get a hold of me. That is an office line and not a cell number, so you cannot text me there. Again, please send an email. I'll be checking that quite often. I do have virtual office hours. They'll be generally conducted with Google Meet or Google Chat. We can do video face-to-face sessions that way, and it's quite satisfactory. Even for times when you want to play something for me or I want to hear you play something, we'll be doing some preparation checks later in the semester, and we can do them that way. But my virtual office hours, if you want to talk to me about anything, are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 12. Here are a couple of websites. One is a Facebook page for the orchestra, and the other is our symphony page. It's more or less up to date, but Ryan Marsh in our music office helps us maintain that and is constantly working to put things up there all the time. There are some things that are out of date now just because we don't know exactly what's going to be happening yet, like the status of our honor orchestra in January, when we plan to have Richard Meyer as our guest clinician and conductor. But stay tuned. We're kind of watching the COVID situation to make a determination about the fate of that event and other things. So here's the overall plan for the semester. You can see all the bullet points. We will meet virtually. Apparently, we are sort of in a tentative status right now on our PLU health status dial, a graphic that was introduced this week. We're sort of tentatively at stage 3. Stage 3 is where we need to be to go ahead with online blended learning. So we may begin virtual meetings very soon. I don't think, even though we might have begun them as early as September 14th, the beginning of week 2 of the semester, we probably will wait yet another week. I'll make a determination for sure about that before we actually have our first meeting on the 10th. I'm recording this about a week ahead of that meeting. So stay tuned for more information then. When we do begin rehearsals, those rehearsals will be streamed for our virtual participants so that you can at least take part in that rehearsal. We're hoping that we can facilitate a way for you to actually be a part of performances, even if you are a virtual participant. And so it will be really helpful for you to be present in the rehearsals that are relevant for you. I say relevant for you because once the placement auditions are done after this weekend, we're going to divide the orchestra into as many string groups as we can staff, of 8 to 12 people each. They'll be assigned some of the same literature, some different literature, and those are the things that we'll be rehearsing. So if you're a virtual participant, you'll be assigned to one of those groups or another, and that means you'll know what literature that you will be responsible for, and you'll only need to be virtually present at the rehearsals of that particular ensemble. We'll be doing Zoom sessions with special guests, and I'm going to do at least one as well. We have quite a wonderful lineup. We'll get to that in a little while. There's a list in these slides. And so I'm hoping that all of you will be present for those things, that you will prepare for those by being ready with questions. Each time we're going to have one, I'll certainly let you know more about that participant. We'll be posting information about each one of those guest lectures in the weekly content pages as that material becomes available. I'm still gathering that material from our guest speakers. The rehearsals will take place during weeks 2 to 10. As I mentioned before, it's probably more likely going to be 3 to 10. They'll be mostly on Mondays, but we'll have some, particularly as we approach our recording dates, on Thursday evenings. They'll be during our regular rehearsal times, which is 7:15 to 9:45 on a Monday and Thursday. However, they'll take place in 30 to 35-minute sessions with 30 minutes in between when we have multiple sessions in an evening, so that the air in the rooms can exchange. So your group may be on at, say, 7:30 on a Monday evening. We'll go until a little after 8. We'll break, have 30 minutes off, and then a different group would probably come in after that. We could possibly do up to 3 of these sessions in an evening. So it's possible that you might be doubled up on some nights. But there will always be 30-minute breaks, and we'll have guidance as we go along about what to do during those breaks. We have to be very careful about how we move in and out of the spaces and through the building. All rehearsals will be masked, or you'll be masked during all those rehearsals. We'll be performing in a distanced way, so everybody will need to be at least 6 feet apart. For the most part, the ensembles will be standing. We're asking you to bring your own music stands, music racks, so that we don't have people touching each other's equipment. That's all part of our health and safety measures. So please make sure that you have some kind of stand or rack to bring. If that's a problem, let me know. We'll figure something out. The only people that will be sitting would be cellists. And cellists, you will be sitting not on our usual cello chairs. We won't be using any upholstered furniture this semester at all. They'll be on plastic chairs like those that are in some of the classrooms, particularly in 306. And it will be your responsibility to clean those chairs and put them away after each session that you use one. Basses, of course, you may use stools if that's the way you prefer to play, but it'll be up to you to take care of those stools and get them out of the space, clean them, and we really want people to use only one stool and nobody else to use that stool. We'll be doing recordings during week 11 on both nights, Monday and Thursday. We'll use probably the entire times, but we'll do them in short segments, again 30 to 35 minutes with 30 minutes in between. If we have some cleanups or some punch-ins to do for those recordings, we'll do those on the following Monday, week 12. That's the week of Thanksgiving break. But we'll take that Monday evening to do fix-ups on recordings as necessary. The fate of those recordings is that we intend to get them produced and then stream them or make them available for streaming on the PLU websites during the month of December. During this semester, I'm going to ask everybody at least once to meet with me individually to do a little bit of playing. So these will be kind of preparation sessions. We may do them for specific passages. Again, I want everybody to do that at least once with me this semester. That's going to be part of your grade. I'll talk about grading a little bit later, but it's going to be different than it has been in the past. In the past, we have graded largely on attendance in most of our ensembles. We're not using attendance for any grades in any classes at PLU this semester. There are a number of reasons for that I won't go into right now, but it's very difficult to do that fairly in this particular situation. So we're finding other ways to make assessments, and this will be one of them. I'm going to ask everybody involved, including our virtual participants, to work within a group to create one program note for one of the pieces of literature that we do. Those program notes will actually be used in our stream performances. They'll be done by committee, and it'll be up to your group to divide that labor up. This shouldn't be a difficult thing. I don't think it's going to take a lot of time, but it is a collaboration that I want you to do, and it's going to be a part of your grade assessment. After Thanksgiving, of course, nobody will be coming back to campus at PLU. Everything will be virtual only at that time, and we do have some wonderful content remaining to be delivered during that time after Thanksgiving. So we have a couple of really great guest speakers that are going to be with us at that time. We'll also hopefully be able to take a Zoom session, to have a little post-mortem on the semester. It's going to be really important for us to be able to assess the things that we did this semester, to see what the value of them was for you. Hopefully it will be considerable. And to talk about some of the things that we've learned. And hopefully we'll also have a little bit of time just to hang out. Okay, just a word about participation. Again, this is something I said during the last slide. I do want you all to participate in at least one part preparation with me virtually during the semester. And you can do more. I'm always glad to help people with parts to try and make things sharpen up musically, or if there's something I can help you with rhythmically, note-wise, etc. Just let me know. I'm happy to do that. And it's a way for me to check up and make sure that we're, because we're so short on rehearsal time, that we're really well prepared for those rehearsals. And I want to be as much help to you in that as possible. Again, this is going to be a little bit different than what we've experienced in the past, because our rehearsal time is at a premium. There is relatively little of it, and we're going to have to make the most of that time by making sure that we're all prepared for those rehearsals. Virtual participants, we want you to take part in as much of this as possible. And I'll want you to be doing multiple part preparation conferences with me in the hopes that we'll be able to incorporate you into the performances as well via recordings. I already mentioned the Zoom monitoring of the blended rehearsals by virtual participants. And we do expect everybody to take full part in the Zoom sessions and workshops. I'm going to be asking you again to prepare for those a little bit by being ready to ask questions, to have read through the bios of the people that are coming, to think about what it is you want to know from them and what will be helpful to you. Each one of them will have a kind of thesis or something that they're going to want to be talking about. Especially, our focus is on a lot of the speakers are women, and we're going to be talking a lot about their career paths. We'll be talking some about entrepreneurship. We'll be talking about challenges that people face. It's going to be, I think, a really eye-opening semester. And we'll be talking also a lot about just orchestral music making in general and the art of that and how to do it as well as possible. And then we've also mentioned the program note before, so I'll skip over that for now. Here's the schedule. This is in two parts here. So this is the first of two slides. You can see that we're already in this first week as you're viewing this or listening to it. I doubt that we'll actually be starting with our rehearsals as early as the 14th. We may swap the 14th and 17th and be able to start our rehearsals on the 17th. Things are going to depend on conditions. As I'm making this kind of early, we don't quite know that yet. So a lot will be revealed when we meet on the 10th. And you can see our Zoom guests start in the very next week with Dave Beck, a classical music host from King FM, an orchestral cellist, and happens to be the proud father of one of our alums recently, Helena Beck, a wonderful bassoonist. Here's the second part of the schedule. If you heard that jingling, that was my dog Chloe getting up and leaving the room. The second half of the schedule, you can see some more of our guests here, and you'll see the concentration of rehearsals around the recording time, the recordings, and then some of the things that are happening after Thanksgiving, including some more guests. The virtual concert down there, I'm hoping that we can find a virtual concert that we can attend together. I'm still working on that. The rehearsal plan, again, I've mentioned most of this before. Small groups, 8 to 12 people. That'll all be determined once the placement auditions are finished. 30 to 35 minutes, 30 minutes in between in which nobody will be able to be in the rehearsal rooms. You're not going to be able to hang out and practice parts, etc. When we're on that 30-minute break, everybody's going to have to leave so that the air has a chance to completely change. We'll be standing except for the cellos and the basses who want to use stools. Your own music stand rack. You'll all be responsible for setting and clearing your own equipment and doing the cleaning required. That would be particularly for the chairs that the cellists use. And there are lots of signs being applied to the building as I sit here and speak about how people are to move through the building. Directional signs, and we'll all need to make sure that we observe those rules and guidelines strictly. We'll maintain social distancing at all times, and all rehearsals will be with masks on. Here's just a word about grading. Again, we can't use attendance as we have in the past, so I'm going to do this as equitably as possible. I've tried to create some guidelines that gives everybody a chance, including virtual participants, to earn their grade. Preparation is a big part of it. I'll be gauging that certainly by first-hand observation for those people who are participating in our blended rehearsals, and also with our virtual rehearsal preparation sessions, one-on-one. And that will be the main way I'll be able to assess that for the virtual participants. I'll be offering you grade points for your participation in virtual sessions and workshops by asking questions, maybe helping steer the discussion, just taking part in the discussion as we have a chance to do that. Your contribution to creating the program notes in whatever committee with whatever piece you end up with, that will be a part of your grade. And I'm offering grade points also for your leadership efforts. So people who are section leaders, people who help run sectionals, people who find ways to be of service to the organization. And some of that is just going to be being a good orchestra member, being there and being ready and participating enthusiastically, etc. These are not going to be hard things to earn. but certainly I'm trying to reward all the things that we want people to exhibit, all the behaviors we want them to exhibit as good ensemble members. If you have to miss a rehearsal, of course, we're not going to knock points off for that attendance lapse, but I will ask in each of those cases that in lieu of being at that rehearsal, you submit a recording of some passage from the music being rehearsed that night. It may be after the fact. You might be able to do it ahead of time. We'll deal with that on an individual basis, but you'll always need to talk to me about that. Here's a list of the repertoire. We've got some very exciting stuff. The Shostakovich Eighth Quartet in its arrangement for string orchestra. Cindy McTee's Adagio for strings, which we have done in the PLU Orchestra in the past. Cindy McTee, of course, is one of our guests, along with her husband Leonard Slatkin, and she is a wonderful composer. This is a movement from her first symphony, a work that was commissioned actually by Leonard Slatkin when he was music director of the National Symphony Orchestra. It's a gorgeous piece. If you don't know it, think of the Barber Adagio. It's that kind of work. William Grant Still, Mother and Child. This is something I hope will be able to contribute to the Christmas streaming concert. William Grant Still is one of our foremost African-American composers from the 20th century. We have not done any of his works here, and I'm pleased to be able to do one this fall, this particular lovely piece. George Walker is another African-American composer from the mid-20th century. Another lovely piece, Lyric for Strings. Elfriede André is a composer you may not have heard of. She's was a composer in the 19th century, Swedish. And this is a work of hers that has been created or prepared in a scholarly performing edition by a colleague of mine from Coda and somebody from our local area, actually, Jonathan Spatola Knoll, who has been teaching at Alma College, but he is living in Olympia this year. He's going to be one of our guests. He'll be talking about Elfriede André. He's one of the foremost scholars on her life and work. Another composer you may not have heard of, a Canadian composer, Anne Southam, I'm not even sure how to pronounce her name. This is a very intriguing work called Webster's Spin. It's kind of minimalist in its procedures and in its sound. I think you're going to enjoy working on this very much, those of you who are assigned to it. And finally, something I'm very pleased we're going to be able to do, a composer named Joseph Bologna. The rest of it is Chevalier de Saint-Georges. He's an 18th century composer. At the time, he was known as the Black Mozart, and he wrote some absolutely gorgeous music for 18th century orchestras. Not all of it for string orchestra, but this particular piece is for string orchestra. There'll be more about that. Some of this will be assigned to specific ensembles. We may actually combine for one or two of these pieces and put, if we can record as all one group by the time we do the recordings, that would be great, or we may combine separate group recordings for those performances. We'll see how that all works. Recording attire has not changed from the past. This is essentially what you have seen in the syllabus before. This is only for the recordings because they will be video recordings. I'll let you review this on your own time. Here is a list of resources on the slides that are available on Sakai. These are all live links. I encourage you to visit the Coronavirus Information and Daily Health Check. In fact, you'll have to, every time you come to campus, do an attestation, which is available on this page. So please make sure that you're getting that information as much as possible. That's the end of this presentation. I may be updating these things by the time we get to our meeting on September 10th. I'm looking forward very much to seeing all of you. That is a virtual meeting, by the way, via Zoom. You will find links for all of our Zoom sessions, including that one, on our Sakai site. They're not there yet, but I'll be creating those and putting them in this weekend. You'll see a tool on the left side of the screen for Zoom meetings, and you'll be able to use those to access those meetings. So you won't need to have them in your calendar. You won't need any emails or announcements from me. They'll just be there. So I'll look forward to seeing you. I may do another little video on that so everybody knows how to do that, but it's very easy. Just get into our Sakai site and you'll see those links. See you soon.